When I was applying for the job, one question that they ask is, what are your goals? My dream was, I wanted to start my business. And they're like, what? Yeah, you would leave us?
Yeah.
We are going to train you.
Yeah.
And then when you are going to give us some time and it's time to pay us for all the investment that we have done in you, you're going to leave us? At the point, they're like, no, you're not the candidate. So you have to show that you're going to work for this company for a long time. Hello, welcome to the newest episode of JIMK. Today we brought amazing topic that you all will be interested in here. We are going to talk about how to find jobs in Korea, what kind of jobs you can get in Korea and where to look for them. And to talk about that, I brought an amazing guest. Welcome, Tae. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I am in the studio for the first time and I'm excited.
Yay! Would you like to introduce yourself just for all the viewers so that they can know you?
So I'm Tae Lee. I'm a reporter for the Korea JIMK Daily. We are an English newspaper here in Korea, and I'm sort of here to talk about the topic because I report about English student news, international student, foreign life in Korea.
Right? If you really want to know what she writes about, she wrote a lot of amazing blogs on K Campus's website. We will add the link in our description. Please go read her blogs. That would give you lots of information about what the interview processes are like and what kind of life you can get in Korea as a student or if you're looking for jobs and so many things. But before you do that, let's hear more about what kind of jobs are in there. So mainly when we talk about jobs, I guess there are two different types of jobs, like part-time jobs and full-time jobs. And first, most of the students who are here, they look for the part-time jobs. So what kind of part-time jobs are there which are available for foreigners in Korea?
I mean, for students, it's more like cafe, restaurant, but I think the part-time jobs that sort of specifically look for foreigners are ones they look for staff to work at international conferences, forums, and stuff like that. And they have demand for foreigners because they need people who speak English because the participants, they're going to be people that are also non-Koreans as well.
Right. Apart from that, I guess when I was a student, I did do English teaching jobs where I was teaching one-on-one to adults, not for students. But if you are good at teaching students or kids, then you should do that. But it's hard to do that. I have friends who are teaching students or like 고등학교 or 중학교, which is middle school or elementary or high school students. It's hard to grab their concentration in English, but if you can do that, then definitely that is another job that they can go for. Some of my friends are also working in a cafe or convenience store, like CU or Ishibo, 25. It's hard to sometimes get the names of the convenience store in Korean, in English. And I guess how do they look for this kind of jobs? Apart from what you mentioned, which is conferences, getting the translation jobs, how do they look for it?
I mean, some people kind of immediately go to LinkedIn, Craigslist because those are the English platforms, but a lot, more than the majority of the part-time jobs are mostly in Korean, part-time job posting websites like 사람인, 알바몬, 알바천국. There's Job Korea as well, and also university websites. They also would post some kind of part-time opportunities for students as well.
That's awesome. So again, going mainly, all the English written jobs would be on LinkedIn or Craigslist, I guess, those kind of websites where 사람인, 알바몬, 알바중국, or Job Korea, they might have the Korean written jobs over there. So you might have to use translators and take the jobs and put it in somewhere else. Or sometimes what I did is because most of the jobs are for Koreans, I used to type in the search box, go and 외국인. Then it says 외국인 가능, which is foreigners okay or something like that, then you can go and look for jobs over there. I think that's still a little bit hard to find jobs in Korea. So if, for example, I found a job in Saramin to work in a convenience store, then after I apply, what kind of interview process do they have? Do they have an interview process?
For part-time, it's more a simpler interview, but they do have an interview. For example, when I did 2 interviews, I worked for a gallery, ticketing stuff, and I also did an interview for part-time translation. And those are really simple. They ask about past experiences, if you have any, and also some simple why did you apply, and also because it's part-time, they also ask is your home far away from here? Does it take long for you to come? Because they want people that are on time, punctual, and stuff like that. So it's more simple questions, yeah.
When it comes to part-time jobs, I was applying for a couple of them when I had some time. So there are different types of it. Tangi alba, which is like a short-time part-time job, and I guess the Tangi one, the long ones. So Tangi is like you can just work on the days, a couple of days, and or maybe for short times, for 3 months or something like that. Where the Tangi is like they are looking for somebody to work there for a longer time, right? So that bakery or something, these places, they look for long-term jobs because once they are training you, that means they want you to stay there for a little bit longer. So Tangyalba also have, the short times also have like different types. If I want to work only on weekends, then you can just go and work on weekends, and they write negotiable timings or flexible timings are available. I guess they also have some like regular work, but when it comes to like students who are foreigners, what kind of things that we have to keep in mind?
One thing is, I think the working hours you can legally work. Because,
yeah,
that's important. Like D2 visa, you can work part-time, but maximum you can only work 25 hours a week.
On a student visa,
on student visa. And then if you have like additional certifications like Korean proficiency, PIG level 4, I think you can work another additional 5 hours, so 30 a week.
So you have to keep in mind that you are not exceeding those hours, and you have the permission from your school as well as from the immigration office before you go and work for it. Otherwise, that's not a good choice to do, right? I do remember one of my friends was asking me like, oh, it would be fine if I just do black without telling the thing. It's like, okay, that's your responsibility. Don't ask me. I'm not recommending you that. So for students, then you have to do that. Are there like any kind of thing? What if like I have a leaving visa, what is like Koju visa, resident visa, then there are no time limits on that, like for Korean, for example.
For Koreans and like those with like F2, like Koju visa, I don't think there's like part-time hour requirements necessarily. It's more like for student visa because they want the student visa, international students to study, kind of things like that.
Right, because they are here for a particular reason. I do have a couple of other questions. I was applying for a cafe, and in the cafe job requirement, they have written that any past experiences are welcomed and required or maybe recommended. And because I don't have any past experiences, I did not get any cafe job. So if I want to get any kind of jobs without any experiences, then what are the easiest jobs that I can apply for?
Easiest jobs, I mean, convenience store you mentioned, that doesn't really require like specific experience rather than I guess like being able to organize and stuff like that. Cafe, I had a friend that she did not have experience, but she was like, I will learn all the recipes, like you can give me the list, I'll memorize them. And she also lived like really close by, so I think that was another plus. I think sort of that's kind of ways you can kind of get in. Yeah.
You mentioned really interesting point, which is kind of really true. Like for any kind of jobs in Korea, if you show the passion, it's like, I can do it. Just give me the opportunity and I can prove that I can do it. Please give me the opportunity. And those kind of passions, sometimes some kind of employers, or what do we call like the the owners, they love that kind of attitude, and they are like, okay, why not just go for it, kind of a thing. Yeah. So if you really don't have an experience, go and like show your passion that you're ready to do the job, and you would be able to fulfill that. Maybe that is one of the things. Then another thing like which is kind of interesting compared to India and in here is the work pay. So in India, I don't think like, maybe we do have the minimum basic pay over there, but still it's not fixed. People get paid differently in different cities. But I guess in Korea, they have the minimum wages below that you don't get paid. When I first came, it was like 8천 something, and 7 years, 7천, 8천 something when I first came in Korea. Right now, it's somewhere around like 9,000, right?
Yeah, like 9,620.
9,620. That's not bad.
I think it's gonna be like around 9,800.
Because everything is becoming so expensive. When you go to a cafe, one coffee is like 4,900, 4,500 one. Just like, okay, I work for 1 hour and I get 9,000 something, and one coffee is like 4,000. Wow. But so minimum wages are that. So you have to make sure that those are if you're not getting paid that much, then you have to tell them like, hey, minimum wages are like that. Why are they not even paying me those? That's interesting. And when it comes to like then translation or something, I don't think you have to go to the place to work that way, right? Like you can just do it at home. So how do they? Do you think how do they check how many hours you have worked?
For translation, I actually also work remotely at home, and rather than like hourly pay, they pay you on like either letters or like how many pages you translated. So like for me, when I did Korean to English translation, it was like on 10,000 won per A4 word page. So that was sort of how I was paid. Yeah.
That is like a little bit better, isn't it?
Yeah,
Compared to how many hours you are working,
it's sort of freelance, so if I work more, I get paid more. If I don't work,
right? And they don't know like actually how many hours you are working, so you don't have like that 25 or 30 hours of quota
yeah,
over
that's
there.
true. Yeah.
That's awesome. So another question that a lot of people ask, like, how can I succeed in getting a part-time job? Which is a little bit weird question, but I have been asked that question a couple of times by lots of foreigners. Do you think like there are anything that you can give like tips?
To be honest, for part time, I think what the like traditional Korean sajamis, they really ask for people who's punctual.
Oh yeah.
Really, because like a lot of part-time jobs, they have like morning shifts and afternoon night shifts. So
Yes.
if you're an afternoon shift worker and you come late, the morning shift worker is going to be very angry. So they sort of want people to be on time to kind of do all the work they do. Because part-time, rather than like requiring like additional skills or things like that, they want people who's like willing and passionate to do the job that they want them to.
Well, that's kind of really true. It makes sense, right? If I'm working maybe in a cafe, again, as an example, and my shift was from 7 a.m. to 12, and the next person is coming late, like 12:30 or 1, I would hate that. I would always hate that. What are you doing? Just come on your time. I'm not getting paid for that kind of a thing. So I have another question. So if you're working in a restaurant or a cafe, which shift is the easiest one?
I think there's different pros and cons. Like morning shift, you have to do all like the cleaning, you have to get everything ready, and you also have to like if you're working at like the restaurant, you also have to take in all the ingredients.
Yeah, cut it.
Yeah.
And
So that could require a bit of labor. If you're doing the afternoon shift, well, it also requires cleaning, but it could be a little bit of a hassle because some customers, they don't leave like straight at the clock. You kind of have to go to them, oh, we close at like 8.
yeah,
We still
in the afternoon, yeah.
you might have to do that to customers, so that's sort of another hassle you might have to consider.
Right? And in the evening, maybe the evening part is like, again, you have to close everything and you have to clean. A lot of cafes, they clean, like put the chairs upside down so that they are cleaning it for the next day, and you have to check the inventory, whichever is left, and have to throw away the trash and everything that comes with the evening hassle. I don't know if I would like to right now do that kind of a thing. At the moment, it's like I don't know which one is the best shift time. But when it comes to then again like the bars, maybe they only have the afternoon or evening working hours, right? So what kind of things should we be careful when we are applying for the bars? Right? I do have like one of the experience. So my friend, she is from Uzbekistan and she was looking for the jobs, and she's like, okay, I would like to work in a bar. I'm fine with work, and she really needed money, and she's like, okay, I'm going to do that. And she found this couple of job postings on Albamun, saying for one day they would pay her somewhere around like 300,000 won, which is Samshimanon, to Oshimanon, which is 400,000 won, which is a lot of money for a day. It did not mention. So in the job posting, it was not mentioned. You don't have to do anything weird. You might have to talk to the customers, and you might get tips and something, which is like okay. When you read it, it seems okay as a foreigner. But I guess like you have to ask the Korean, and they give you the insights.
They like we sort of call them like talking bars. So they're kind of cafes disguised as bars where you won't be just serving drinks. It would require you to talk with the customers, maybe a little bit getting more affectionate. So that might not be the job you want to apply for if you want like a normal barista or kind of like bartending job. I would consider that like really big red flag. Yeah.
Right? So I guess like you have to know if somebody's paying you more than the normal wages, then you have to first think about it, why they are paying you more,
Yes.
what else I'm required to do.
Yes.
So even in like in the talking bars, it's not just talking, it can be sometimes you also have to drink. It depends on the bar to bar kind of a thing. So you have to like really look for those kind of things. Okay, so there are different kind of part-time jobs. If you want to look for it, you can go for a couple of portals. You can even ask your school if they have like a couple of websites that they can recommend you, or if they upload their own jobs on their own websites and something like that. And you have to know the minimum job wages is 9,620. And if you're applying, show your passion that you're willing to work, then that is like the easiest way to get the job. And on your visa, you have to check how many hours you can work. So in order to do that, you can ask your school or the immigration office. That's almost all about part-time jobs. Now I want to go to the full-time jobs, which a lot of people are interested into because they want to work after they complete their school. We can start from where they can look for full-time jobs.
Full-time jobs are also on the websites for part-time, like Arbamon Job Korea, but for full-time, there's also these websites called 자소설.com and Ketchi.
Okay, we will apply. We would write both of those websites under the description. Okay.
There's like also websites like Super Rookie. That's more about like foreign companies in Korea. So those three websites are ones that post more about like full-time jobs rather than part-time ones. Yeah.
I think like those, I found my job on LinkedIn through LinkedIn postings because those are in English, written in English, so it's easy to find. I haven't applied any of the full-time jobs on Craigslist. That's not like, I didn't think, in my opinion, that's for a full-time job kind of opportunity. That's more like a part-time jobs, or if you're looking for a roommate or modeling or something like that, like people go over there. Another website that I have found jobs on, my school portals. The school portals also give lots of like companies actually come to your school and they are recruiting from the school. Or I've also seen like in Korea there are a couple of websites like Wanted or Remember. They also upload like a couple of jobs nowadays, but again, those jobs are mostly in Korean. So if you know Korean, then that's easy, but if you don't, then that's hard. But I have heard about Super Rookie, and I think like nowadays I have seen K Campbell's also uploading a couple of job postings over there in English, so that if somebody is looking for the job, then they can go and apply over there, right?
Yeah, like we actually either get the translations from the company or do the translations ourselves. And like we only upload job posts that either say the visa requirements or say that we really good foreigners or we prefer foreign candidates. So yeah, if you're a foreigner looking for a full-time job, take care of this.
Right, that's like because I have seen like more and more jobs getting uploaded over there, so maybe people can also look for jobs over there. But now it comes to like what kind of things requirements that full-time jobs generally require, right? So what do you think, like what are the things that people have to have when they're applying for a full-time job?
Like full-time jobs, like companies are really going to want some sort of experience, whether it's work related or something that you did in school, anything that's related in your industry. I mean, a lot of people say like we prefer people with work experience, but if you're a fresh graduate, you're like, how is that possible? But a lot of people say if you don't have internship or any work experience as a fresh graduate, like at least stating maybe like team projects you did in school or like any extracurricular activities you did in or outside of school, that could also help in sort of be counted.
So in short, like they just don't want to see only your academia. They want to see more than what else did you do, what makes you different from other students or other candidates who are applying for the job, right? That's interesting. Then I guess these are the couple of things that I came to know when I was applying for jobs. Is when a Korean company really wants to hire a full-timer foreigner and give them the visa, they have to have 5 Koreans in their company, right? So if it's a startup company, they really have to consider, like, okay, if I want to hire a foreigner, then I have to have 5 people. They also have to explain that why they want to hire a foreigner in their company to the immigration, so that like why they cannot just hire a Korean who can do the similar jobs. So I guess it's hard for Korean companies to just go and hire a foreigner at the moment. So when it comes to candidates who wants to apply for the job, I think they really have to think about what I can offer to this company which is different from other Korean who can talk in English, right? Because the Koreans, they already know the Korean company culture. They know how to talk in the language, so they are easy to go with. So if they want to hire a foreigner who do not know that much language or the culture or something, then this person should give them something more than like just a normal, like, hey, I'm a foreigner, hire me, I have new ideas kind of thing. You have to give them like, okay, I'm the best for the job. If you don't get me, you're going to regret it.
Yeah. Like, for example, in our company, we also have, like, in our team, actually, she's Spanish. And she's working for, like, at social media management, like filming videos and things like that. And our team leader sort of wanted to hire her because, like, she has background in, like, Spanish culture. She's, like, a huge K-pop fan. And even if me, like, as a Korean, I know English, but I don't know about, like, Spanish cultures. I don't know about Spanish countries. So that's one area of expertise she does have, and Korean applicants or even English speaking Korean applicants don't have. So things like that making you stand out, I think that's one thing.
In my last company, I was given the task, like I had to hire people in my own team as well. So I looked at a couple of interviews and did hire people. I guess in my opinion, what I was looking for is, okay, I'm going to hire you. That means I have the responsibility in the company to make sure that you blend well in the company. So I want to see something else, the creativity or something what you would bring to the team, one. And if you are willing to go an extra mile, like, oh yeah, I just want to do a job in Korea because I like K-pop. That's not something that a lot of companies look for. They want to see something. So the candidates who really stand out are the people who actually made a proposal. It's like, okay, these are the things I can do for this company to make sure that it will grow. So we were doing this camera app in India. So they came up with a couple of ideas that we can imply, or the marketing campaigns that we can imply or apply in our company to do marketing in India. It's like, okay, that's something like, you thought about it. You have done something an extra mile. So having a proposal and actually looking into the company is something that I guess people can do. Another thing which Korean companies look for is, I guess, when I was applying for the job, one question that they ask is, what are your goals? What is your dream?
Yes.
And of course, like, I'm a foreigner and my dream was I wanted to start my business from long when I was like a little kid. And I told them like, oh, after 5 years or 10 years, maybe I will be doing my own business. And they're like, what?
Are you gonna leave us?
Yeah, you would leave us?
Yeah.
We are going to train you.
Yeah.
And then when you're going to give us something, when it's time to pay us for all the investment that we have done in you, you're going to leave us. And that's the point. They're like, no, you're not the candidate. So you have to show that you're going to work for this company for a long time. Right? What other requirements that people have to think when they are applying for a job, or the skills, if there are any skills that they are looking for?
Skills, I mean, for foreigners, there are a lot of companies that do require Korean skills no matter what. I mean,
at least basic Korean is needed.
Yeah, like we're still an English newspaper, so in our newsroom, you're going to be able to speak Korean. But if you want to work with like designers or like HR people that are outside of the newsroom, if you're a foreigner, you need to be able to speak Korean. So that happens for like a lot of Korean companies.
I think like no matter what you're doing, you have to have some Korean skills. Otherwise, it would be hard for you to survive in the company, one, and it would be hard for the company to keep you for a longer time as well. Like Korean skills are like now became mandatory, and so many foreigners can speak in Korean. So if you don't speak in Korean, then don't they say like if you live in Roman, learn the Roman language a little bit. So it's the same way. If you are here, if you want to go by, that's the first thing that they have to do. Apart from that, if there are any other skills that people have to look for,
I think like nowadays they want people who are sort of willing to take on like more like leadership roles.
Oh yeah.
Right now, you enter the company, you're basically going to be like entry level employee, but that's not going to happen 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And like you mentioned, the company wants to invest in you, train you, and then have you stay with the company in the future as well. So like people who are willing to grow, people who will kind of want to take on new things, like maybe develop new business ideas and things like that.
I guess like that's really true. Lots of companies are looking for that. Then let's talk about like when you are going to stay in the company, that means you're going to experience the work culture in the company. What's Korean work culture like?
I think okay, when a lot of foreigners think about Korean work culture, they think about overwork. Yeah,
Yes.
they think about like especially like after work drinks.
Right.
So to be honest, it's gonna be different from which for depending on which company you work for. And honestly, I will say they do still exist right now in Korea. But I think companies are sort of moving to change. Like for example, I work for three companies right now as an intern and as like a regular employee. And I was sort of lucky enough to not have the after work dinners. We all did kind of like in lunch dinners. We go to like a pasta restaurant, eat pasta and stuff like that. Someone would drink beer, someone would drink Coke. It was kind of all up to the employees.
Yeah.
But sometimes there was a company I worked for and another team. They would really go on those after work dinners, have to drink a lot of alcohol, go on for like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So they sort of do exist.
I think a lot of IT companies are changing, like new startup companies are changing. But if you go in little bit outside of the IT sector, then it's kind of still the same. If you have like a Jushi kind of like 40s, 50s, like old culture people, then they might want to go with Vishik, which is the company dinners. And I guess the idea behind it is kind of really pure, right? So they want you to blend in with everybody, and like get to know them outside of work, which is fine. But sometimes it goes like round one, round two, round three kind of a thing. So we did not have like that many things in the second. The big companies are also changing, but both of the companies that I worked in, those were the IT companies. So that was fine. Apart from that, I guess what you talked about long hours, that is true for any company. That is kind of true for any company. Like in both of the companies, that's not required, but the job requirements that you have, they are so strict, or the projects have to be done on the timeline, deadline kind of a thing. So you will end up working sometimes like long hours.
Yeah, like I can leave at 6 if I want to.
Yes.
No one's gonna stop me.
Yes.
But if I have work assigned and I could not get it done by 6, then I'm gonna either have to stay at the company or take my laptop home and work. So it still does exist.
So I guess like it's more important, like maybe it would be better to say Korean companies really they want to respect the timelines that are given to you for a particular work. If you can do that work within 2 hours, then that's great for you. But if you can't, then you have to complete it. If you have to do it before the meeting tomorrow, then you have to do it anyways before the meeting tomorrow. Like in India, literally, that is the case. I have the Indian team members, and sometimes when they are not able to do the job, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was not able to do the job. I did not have enough time." And that's changing. That's not everybody, but still, that sometimes happens. The timelines are not met, the deadlines are not met, and I have seen that in some of the other cultures as well. But in Korea, somehow everybody meets those guidelines and timelines. So if you are not meeting them, then you feel like, oh my God, did I do something really wrong? And that's not really impression that you want to leave on your teammates, right? Apart from that, when it comes to company culture, hierarchy is something that I have seen in many Korean companies. So if you have worked longer in a particular company, then somehow it gives you an extra power.
Like kind of the ones that have like a higher position, maybe like 대리, 과장, 부장, kind of going more up, you kind of get more power.
Yes. In many companies, it's not based on skills, So I have seen it's based on experience. So if you have like 6 years experience, then you go slowly up. So promotion is still based on the experience or how long you have worked in there, rather than giving just like, oh my God, you're good at your work, you should go on the top and lead the company or lead the project or something. That I haven't seen that happening that often. In new companies maybe, but not really. And even if that happens, I have seen lots of people like not, team members don't like that.
Because like if a younger person gets promoted, then like maybe like an older person could be working for the younger person, and that kind of mixes up the Korean age hierarchy.
Right. So I guess like that's one of the Korean culture that is a little bit different from like maybe American culture, where it's mostly based on, okay, you know how to do the work, you can lead the whole project kind of a thing.
Yeah, like companies would, I think they do give like incentives or bonuses even to like the young or like employees in like lower positions. But I think promotions and everything kind of sort of happens based on the order hierarchy of the positions. Like, for example, if you work at the company for 3 years, you become a pity. If you work for like another 3 years, you become a hwajang.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the spend time, get promoted thing. I think for startups, IT, it might be a bit
A
different.
little bit different,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like if you're considering about the real like traditional companies, it might be kind of
The
tied.
big companies that you might know, they might have the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the benefits. At least like the big companies have some good
Yes,
benefits.
yes.
So what kind of benefits do Korean companies generally have?
You know, in Korea, there's this kind of like group company and there's subsidiaries. So
Yes.
if you work for one of those subsidiary companies, you normally get like a credit card or with kind of loyalty points where you can use to buy stuff or like services of all these subsidiary group companies.
Oh yeah.
For example, if you go to any CJ company, I hear you get like a card you can use to buy CJ stuff or get like CJ discounts and stuff like that. And like for us, because we're part of the Chungang group,
Yeah.
we can like buy mega box tickets and like Chungang also has like the Phoenix Resort, so like resort discounts. So kind of those things, yeah.
Just like once you get one of the basic thing every country has, it's like the insurance or something. So the basic things once you go to the company that surprised me. One is you get the medical insurance.
Yes.
The Korean National Medical Insurance that is deducted from your salary automatically, and the second one is pension reserve that is also deducted from the salaries right away. But apart from that, when we talk about benefits, the benefits that I had in my first company were food allowances. So for lunch and dinner, each at that time we had like 10,500 won allowance for each. So if we are eating below that, then we can upload the receipt and we would get reimbursed for the same. So that was the best thing to have. Is like 15,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
You can really have a good meal with the coffee. So that was like the best benefits that we had. That company right now they don't have it, so they changed it because they have so many employees right now. But another thing that they have, I have seen like many companies do, is personal development allowance. So monthly they give you a X amount of money that you can spend on getting the education or any kind of personal skills. So it can be exercising or sports, dance, or whatever that you are using for personal development. They allow that. In the first company, we had it for Samshimanan, which is 300,000 won, which is like a lot of money. I got PT at that time. It's like, okay, Samshimanan is okay, I can do that. What other benefits that people can have?
And also like companies, they sometimes operate like company gyms. There's also like company like health checkups and stuff like that. You can
Inside company gym, health checkups. We did have health checkups in the second company. It's like once a year you can go and do the health checkups with their partner
partner
hospitals, right? And they can allow you some discount if you want to get like extra checkups as well. Yeah, that was there. Or the best thing is like the cafe in the company, that the coffee is obegon, which is like 500 won, really cheap.
Yes.
But the only thing is they have really big line. But apart from that, that is the best thing that we have found there. Or cafeteria.
The more cheaper ones, like for example, like non-company people would have it more expensive.
Yes.
But the employees would have.
If you have the employee card, if you show it, you get. I guess if there are a couple of other places in the company building, then maybe if the company has done the partnerships, then you can even get discounts at like Pyeongjong or something like that. So if you just show them like, okay, I'm the company employee, then they give you like X amount of discount over there. But those are also benefits that companies try to give it to people, right? And another best one was for me as taxis. So if I work overtime, right? If I do overtime, and if I'm going home after the subways are closed, and if I have to take the taxi, then company reimburse for the taxes. That is like the best benefit that I was like, okay, if I work overtime, then I don't have to go in the rush time and get into the subway or something. I can just get into the taxi and go home. So Any experience that you have which you love about like working in a company rather than working alone?
One thing I like is, to be honest, like I'm working as a reporter, so if I wanted to, I could technically work alone, like go to events, write articles, only have like an editor edit it. But right now, I'm also working with like video people, like social media designers, and I think it kind of gives me access to things that I don't can't do just by myself. Like for example, of course I can't do design, of course I can like film and make videos. And those are the people that I can make things work if I talk to them and make kind of projects with them.
That is awesome. I guess like what I miss right now, I'm working by myself and working on the projects that I do, is I miss the team. I miss the sense of having the team and just enjoying the time with the team is something that I miss when I work in a actual company in Korea. And Korea have something called chung, which is like the connection, or I don't know how to call it in English. It's like the bond,
Yeah.
like something which is deeper. So in the start, maybe it's hard, but once they get to know you, there is something that you find that bond, you make that bond, and that goes way deeper. So I still have the friends that I made when I was working in the company, and still talk to them, and we still meet, go to the cafes and everything. So I guess like that's something which is you will find only in Korea. Yeah,
Maybe.
right.
If you have that tone bond, like you kind of voluntarily go with them for dinners after, kind of
Right.
fun.
You actually want to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
then,
yeah.
yeah.
If you want to do them, that's good. Yeah.
Then let's go, which is like the full-time jobs is something we already talked about. So if we go from full-time jobs to other kind of jobs which are there, like internships are there, contract jobs are there, and freelancing is there. So internships is something which like anybody can do, but if they want to look for the internships, how internships are different, or what kind of things where you can look for the internships?
Internships, I think, are you can look for them in the similar places where you find the full time jobs. But I think one thing to watch out as like an international student is like it's sort of hard to get internship permits because you kind of can only work part time as a foreigner with like, a student visa. The companies kind of look for people who can work full
Full-time for the
So
visa.
that could be one kind of struggle that you could face. Yeah.
Right. So I guess like lots of people are on D10, which is the job seeking
Yeah,
visa.
yeah.
Yeah. At that time, you can do the internships on that visa, and then like you want to have the company to convert it into the full-time jobs and be able to do the work. I think I forgot one of the question which many people are curious and they ask me also is like the remuneration. What is the pay normally for newbies in full-time jobs or experienced people in full-time jobs?
To be honest, I think most internships in Korea are sadly minimum wage. Like, if the job post does not state the salary, I think it's best to assume it's minimum wage. If it's higher than minimum wage, the companies are going to state the salary because it's something that they consider
Yes.
a plus. There's not that many like underpaid internships, to be honest. There can be some if it's an internship arranged by the university, like a 4 credit internship, you do an internship and then you get like university credits. I've kind of learned from my experience that they kind of tend to be a little bit lower than minimum wage. But apart from that, and full-time salary I think is the most trickiest to get your finger on because Korean companies don't kind of disclose the salary a lot. Yeah.
They don't like to do that. I haven't seen that many companies to do that. But I guess the starting salaries, from my experience, if you don't have any experience before, is like somewhere around 2,000,000 with 500,000, like
Yeah, around that.
right? If it starts from there, and then depending on the amount of work that you have to do or some of the other skills, like if you have the master's degree or something, then that gets increased. Depends on like what you have done before, and you can negotiate based on that. So it goes from 이백오십 에서 300, which is like 2.5 million to 3 million plus. And if you are like 3 years or plus experience, then I guess it's somewhere from 3.8
Yeah, a little bit higher.
to 4.
And like I think one tip, like there's these websites like Job Korea and Credit Job. They kind of have a way you can kind of assume the salary of the position you're applying to. So they kind of base it upon the national pension system and the data that users enter. So like when they log in, when they join the website, they say, oh, I'm an employee working for this company, this position.
Oh, they upload the info.
Yeah, and
I guess the one of the foreign company website also
yeah,
does
Glassdoor
that.
kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically like a Korean version of Glassdoor. So you can go onto those websites and kind of get like a rough
Idea, yeah, like okay, this job might require like this much of amount. Yeah, I guess like not that many people disclose how much they are getting paid or something like that, which comes to one another question is the raise, the
Yeah.
yearly raise. So normally it's like a percentage. I guess like the normal basic percentage that most company give is 4 to 5% raise on a yearly basis, right? If you're getting 8%, that's the good one.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
getting more, that's totally different.
Yeah, like promotions are like 8-10%, normal 4 or 5. Companies that do really low salary increases are like 2-3%, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, how to survive on that?
Sad.
That's awesome. So, last but not least, the remaining was categories, or I guess the freelancers and the contract workers. I haven't seen that many Koreans work on a contract basis in Korea, unless otherwise they are having F2 visa.
Oh, yeah,
Right, and the same thing goes for freelancers as well. Is you have to have the permit. That means like you have to have. I'm not sure if they call it the part-time, then maybe that's a part-time, but otherwise you have to have like F2 visa or F5 visa, some marriage visa.
Yeah.
Then at that time also you don't have other restrictions and you can work for that. If still, like let's assume that our audience also have F2 visa and they want to look for a freelancing job, what kind of jobs that where they can look for these kind of jobs?
Freelance is mostly for like design, video editing, kind of those jobs, and I kind of found that many of those jobs are offered through this website called Sungo. Like it's specifically
Sungo, yeah.
Yeah, it looks for people who are willing to work for like projects rather than for like a certain period.
Yes.
Sort of like freelancers, you kind of hire for each period,
yes,
each project. So I think that could be a website.
Okay, if you're talking about that, then Sungo Kumong,
Yeah.
KMONG Kumong, and if you're looking for foreign kind of work, then even the freelance goes on LinkedIn sometimes, and Upwork, those kind of like actual foreign websites. Right? Then a couple of my friends, they are looking for the freelance job, and they were wondering, or they were thinking to do freelance in other countries, like if they are doing translation for other country company who wants to do translations in Korean to English or in those kind of things, then they don't really have to have those visa requirements for that. So I guess like those are the websites then maybe you can look for. If you're working for a foreign company and you're getting that, then I guess you don't have to have the visa requirements, right? So I have last question for you. Is it possible if somebody is not living in Korea and they want to find a job in Korea, then
I think it can be possible, but it can be difficult because currently a lot of companies, like we used to do remote work back in COVID, but right now many Korean companies want employees to like work at the office. But I found that there's like a lot of like translation companies, like I don't know if I can mention names, but like companies that operate translation services. They kind of look for foreigners that can do translations, not just in Korea but also abroad. Like they specifically say that remote working is available. You can work from outside of Korea. There's not that many of them, to be honest, I think, but they sort of do exist in like some small quantities.
I guess like another job that I have came across, which does not require you to stay in Korea and you can do it from another country, and which is kind of freelance, is the research job. Like, okay, if they are interested in the country you're living in, so if somebody is from India and they want to know about Indian market in a particular industry, if it's a skincare, they want to know like what's the skincare market is like or something like that, then they also look for the freelancers in that country. I have seen like a couple of people uploading it on Upwork. Yeah, Upwork is somewhere they do, or even on LinkedIn. I have seen on LinkedIn, like if you go and look for part-time or freelance kind of a job, then they do upload something like that. I don't know what other questions you have, but we have tried to cover like lots of different topics. If you have any more questions, then please ask us. She would try to upload it on her blog, or I would get a response from her and upload it as a response or a reply for the question that you have. So until then, let us know what else you want to know about Korean job market, and if you want to get a job, what kind of difficulties that you had, or any other insights that you have that you can share with other people. Until then, thank you for watching. Have a great evening ahead. Bye.
Bye.